Hi, so I'm going to show you how to build a fire in the wood stove here. And first off, you make sure that this lever down here is pushed all the way over to the left. And if you look on top, you can see in the plate it says low, high, and start. So when the lever is over here, that gives you the most airflow. So you make sure that's all the way over. And then you put these two pieces of wood in and you put them in kind of like railroad tracks. So they're parallel. But you leave a little space in between them. And now you put in about 5 pieces of scrumpled up newspaper. And then you grab a handful of kindling. I usually take about, 5 or 6 pieces of kindling, something like that. So that looks good. And you just lay it right on top. And now you take 2 more pieces of wood. You use smaller pieces because they've got to fit on top of these other ones that are underneath. And you put them in crosswise. So now you're making a shape that's like making a shape like a crosshatch. This log is a little bit too wide to go in like that, so I'm just going to put it on a bit of an angle. And put it all the way to the back and let it sit on top of the paper and the kindling. And here's another piece going in, and you leave a little gap between those 2 pieces so the air can flow. It's a balance between having enough wood in there and everything, and not packing it so tightly that you can't get any airflow. If you have room up top, you can put another 1 or 2 pieces. So this is a very small piece. Just going to put that on top. And again, it's kind of crosswise to the layer that's below. And last, I'm going to put this piece of bark because I have it. And there we go. So now I'm ready to light the fire. And I just need to use 1 little match. Just light it like that. And it's good to go. Shut the door all the way and make sure it's locked. There's no gap. And the fire should start up pretty nicely now. You never operate this stove with the door unlatched or partly open or anything like that. It's always latched tight shut. The other thing to know is once the wood has caught, and we'll see it start to burn in a few minutes, and we maybe start to hear the wood cracking and popping, we turn it from start to high. And then we gradually turn the lever down. As the fire builds up, we turn the lever down, and that eventually gets us to a really nice fire. It's really, really, really important anytime you leave the room to make sure the lever is in low. Never go anywhere if you're leaving the lever in high. I've done that a couple times and it's really bad. You can come back in here and the room smells like hot paint because the fire has just got way too hot. So you can see the piece of kindling there starting to burn. And I think I'm going to turn it down to high now, because you see if you give too much air to the fire, then you can put it out, which is kind of a funny thing. It's sort of like when you blow on birthday candles, you give them so much oxygen that the flame just goes out. So when you're building the fire here, it's a balance between giving enough air but not too much. So just let it start to come up. And the other thing is, often, as the newspaper and the kindling burns away, you need to push the logs a little bit closer together, because if the logs are close together, you get a nice heat build up between them. If they're too far apart, obviously you don't get any flame happening. So you can see how that's coming along pretty nicely now. Let's see, I'll just show you up here. On the stovepipe is the thermometer, and I always try and operate the thermometer between about 200 or 250, and that's 400. Don't ever let it go above 400. So what I do when I start the fire is I let the temperature come all the way up to close to 400, and at that point I for sure put it in low, and I leave it in low after that. And however, if you forget or you make a mistake and the temperature comes up here, the only thing you can do is to make sure the door is shut and put that lever into low position. There's nothing else you can do. You can't pour water on it or open it up and throw water in there. You'll get an explosion. So if you suspect that you've got a fire in your chimney or you're going to burn the house down, just make sure that the door is shut, and this is in low, and call the fire department, 911, and exit stage left. Anyhow, that you shouldn't have a problem with that. You just have to be vigilant, that's all. And what else can I tell you? Oh, do you hear the noises? The whole fireplace unit is heating up, and it makes these kind of ticking noises. And you can see that's really going nicely. If the fireplace was cooling down, we would hear ticking noises, but it would be going in reverse. It would be sort of slow ticking, and yeah, anyway. But anyway, the sound, you learn to listen to the sound as well as watching the flame. So that's coming along really nicely now. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to push some of the logs a little closer together, and I'll also turn the heat down, or the vent down a little bit. Something else I should tell you is anytime you open the door to put new wood in, or move the logs around or whatever, always put the lever in high. If you have it in low and you open the door, you just end up sucking a whole bunch of smoke and ash out into the room, which is not a problem. It's just, I don't know, just don't want to do it. And after you do it once or twice, then you always remember, oh yeah, I got to put it in high when I open it. And when I close it, I put it back to where it was, which is probably low. So, it's in high, and my poker is just over here. So I just open the door up, and open it a bit slowly, because I don't want to suck the smoke out, but having it in high really helps. And I'm just going to push these a little bit closer together to make sure that I continue to get the fire building. Make sure I've closed the door again. So that's really good. I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. And when you add a new log, you've burned down what's in here and you want to throw another log in, you open the door to high, you put your log in, and leave it on high for a couple minutes until the outside of the log is charred. I don't know if you can see how the bottom log there is getting blackened. Just blackened. You don't need it to be charred and breaking off into pieces. Apparently, if you let the wood get blackened first when you put a new piece in, then the wood maybe lasts a little longer or burns better or something like that. But once you put your new wood in and you've left it at high for a couple minutes, then you also have to remember to turn it back down to low. So that's a thing. Anyhow, you can cook on this stove if you wanted to. It's kind of fun. This area right here is where it's hottest, and then cooler over to the side, cooler at the back, and that little shelf at the top is a really mild heat, just for warming plates or something. And this little hot plate thing also gives you another way of moderating the heat. And if you want to try making really good toast, just put your piece of bread right on there, and it's really the best toast ever. And Lucy likes being there. There's Lucy. She likes being by the fire, and the kitties like being here too. But oh, I know, this thermometer here, it gets stuck. So if I want to see what the temperature is doing, I tap it. Oops. I tap it, and obviously the temperature is not coming up at all yet, but sometimes it will jump 50 degrees or something like that. So if you want to check the temperature, just give it a little tap first. I think that's about it. Anyways, good. I think I'm going to try and fit one more log in there. So I've got a piece of wood on the floor. I'm going to try and cram this piece in. So that'll be interesting. So I make sure the lever's at high, and here's my piece of wood, and I'm going to have to push it in there. And make sure the bottom ones are pretty close. So that's going to be a really nice fire. I hope I didn't kill it, but yeah, that's going to be good. Anyways, enjoy.